Joanna stopped mid-pace. She stared at the wall. Then she laughed. Not hysterical. Not broken. Cold. Sharp. Controlled. This still benefits me. The words lingered in the empty penthouse, swallowed slowly by silence. She reached for her phone and made a call. It's time. Move everyone into position. Her voice was ice. If you think part one was intense, you have no idea what's coming. Because the woman you thought you knew, she was 3 steps ahead the entire time. Hit that subscribe button right now. You're gonna need it when this gets bloody. The surveillance photos were still on her phone. Her. Sang-woo. The bathhouse. The car. His building. Evidence of everything. They'd come from an unknown number. But she knew exactly who had sent them. Isaiah. He had been watching. Documenting. Waiting. And now Jisoo was kidnapped. The timing was too perfect. Too convenient. Joanna stood alone in the penthouse, soul glittering beyond the floor-to-ceiling windows. Beautiful, cold, unforgiving. She thought about Sang-woo, rushing headfirst into a trap, ready to die for a woman who might already be dead. She could let happen. Walk away. Take what Isaiah had offered and disappear. Or, she picked up her phone again and scrolled through her contacts. Her thumb stopped on a name she hadn't touched in months. Marcus Webb. Private security. Former military. Expensive. She pressed call. 2 rings. Ms. Harris. It's been a while. His voice was professional. Careful. I need a team, Joanna said. Full tactical. Armed. And I need them in Seoul in 2 hours. Silence. That's not much time. I'll pay triple your rate. What's the situation? Hostage rescue. But it's complicated. How complicated? Korean Mafia. American Mafia. And a man I need alive. Another pause. The man, Marcus said slowly. He means something to you. Joanna looked out at the city. More than he should. We'll be there in 90 minutes. The line went dead. Joanna set the phone down and stared at her reflection in the darkened window. The city lights fractured her image. Sharp lines, shadowed eyes, a woman split between versions of herself. She should have felt something. Fear, guilt, hesitation. But all she felt was clarity. Because she had made her choice. Not for love. For power. And Sang-woo was part of that power. She wasn't going to let Isaiah take him. Night pressed heavily over the industrial outskirts of Seoul. Abandoned factories loomed like skeletons, empty lots swallowed by darkness. 5 black SUVs rolled to a stop. Doors opened in unison. 20 men stepped out, silent, armed, disciplined. Sang-woo emerged from the lead vehicle, dressed in black tactical gear, his gun holstered, his expression carved from stone. His second-in-command approached. Min-jae, 35, a scar cut across his left cheek. Loyal to the bone. Perimeter secure. Min-jae reported. No movement. Sang-woo's gaze fixed on a warehouse ahead. Too quiet. Heat signatures. 3 inside. Ground floor. Southeast corner. 3 people. Jisoo, and maybe 2 guards. It felt wrong. Where's the rest of Isaiah's crew? Sang-woo asked. Min-jae glanced down at his tablet. Scattered. Small groups. Watching exits. Sang-woo's jaw tightened. Isaiah wasn't stupid. He wouldn't leave Jisoo with just 2 guards. Unless. It's a funnel, Sang-woo said quietly. Min-jae looked up. Sir, they're not trying to stop us, Sang-woo replied. They're guiding us. Into what? A kill box. Min-jae's hand moved instinctively toward his weapon. We pull back. Sang-woo stared at the warehouse. Jisoo was inside. Or her body was. Either way, he needed answers. No, he said. We go in. Tight formation. No one breaks rank. Min-jae nodded. Hand signals rippled through the team. They moved forward. Shadows moved through the night. Professional. Lethal. And still walking straight into a trap. Because sometimes there was no other choice. The warehouse was massive. Rusted metal. Broken windows. The rot of years of abandonment clinging to its walls. Sang-woo's team entered through 3 points. Synchronized. Clean. Inside, the darkness deepened. Emergency lights flickered weakly, barely holding back the shadows. Boots echoed softly against concrete. Sang-woo advanced with 6 men. Weapons raised. Night vision lowered. Every corner was checked. Every shadow cleared. Too easy. Where was the resistance? They reached the southeast corner. A single door. Light leaked from beneath it. Sang-woo raised his fist. The team froze. He listened. Voices inside. Muffled. Strained. Maybe arguing. He gave Min-jae a sharp nod. The breaching charge was set. 3, 2, 1. The explosion tore the door inward. Sang Woo's team surged into the room. Hands. Show me your hands. The space was small. 3 people. Exactly as the heat signatures had promised. 2 men in tactical gear. Hands raised. Unarmed. And Jisoo. Tied to a chair. Bruised. Bloodied. Crying. Sang Woo's heart slammed violently against his ribs. Secure them, he barked. His men moved fast, zip-tying the 2 guards. Sang Woo dropped to his knees in front of Jisoo. Jisoo, look at me. Her head lifted slowly. Her eyes were red, swollen. Sang Woo, I'm here, he said softly. You're safe. He pulled a knife from his gear and began cutting through the ropes. Did they hurt you? She nodded, sobbing. I was so scared. It's over now. The ropes fell away. Jisoo collapsed in his arms. Sang Woo held her. For 3 seconds, relief washed through him. Then, gunfire erupted. Heavy. Coordinated. From every direction. His team outside was under attack. Contact. Multiple hostiles. Min Jae's voice crackled through the radio. We're surrounded. Sang Woo's blood ran cold. The trap had just closed. Chaos exploded through the warehouse. Sang Woo's men returned fire, but Isaiah's crew held the advantage. High ground, overlapping crossfire, superior numbers. Fall back to the vehicles. Sang Woo shouted into the radio. Negative. Routes are blocked. Then find cover and hold. He turned to Jisoo. Can you walk? She nodded, fear wide in her eyes. He hauled her to her feet. Stay behind me. His 6 men tightened around them, forming a protective circle as they pushed back toward the main warehouse floor. Bullets ripped through rusted metal. Sparks screamed across the concrete. One of his men dropped, a shot tearing into his leg. Man down. 2 others grabbed him, dragging him toward cover. Sang Woo fired in controlled bursts. 2 of Isaiah's men went down. More replaced them almost instantly. How many? Sang Woo demanded. 30. Maybe 40. They were outnumbered 2 to 1. Sang Woo's mind raced. This wasn't random. Isaiah had known exactly how many men he would bring. Knew their tactics. Planned for every move. Sir, east exit. Min Jae pointed. A narrow route, still untouched. Move. Now. They broke into a run. Jisoo stumbled. Sang Woo caught her, half carrying her, as they pushed forward. They reached a side corridor. The corridor grew darker. Narrower. Safer. For now. Sang Woo's radio crackled to life. Team 2 is pinned down. Team 3 requesting. Static swallowed the transmission. Then nothing. Sang Woo's stomach twisted. He was losing men. Good men. Men who trusted him. And he had led them straight into a slaughter. They reached a storage room. Reinforced door. Small. Defensible. Inside, his men rushed in. Sang Woo pulled Jisoo through last, then slammed the door shut and locked it. He stood there for a moment, breathing hard. There was blood on his hands. Not his. Around him, his men reloaded, checked magazines, assessed wounds. 3 injured. 1 badly. Footsteps echoed outside. Voices close now. They went this way. Spread out. They had maybe 2 minutes. Sang Woo scanned the room. No windows. 1 door. Bare concrete walls. A coffin. Min Jae met his gaze. We're trapped. Sang Woo nodded slowly. He'd been outplayed. Completely. And the worst part was that he had known it was a trap and come anyway. Because of her. He looked at Jisoo. She was shaking, tears streaking her face. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry. This isn't your fault, he said quietly. But it is. The footsteps stopped outside the door. Silence. Then a voice broke through. Familiar. American. Sang Woo. Isaiah. I know you're in there. Sang Woo's grip tightened on his gun. We can do this easy or hard. Isaiah continued. Your choice. Min Jae looked at Sang Woo, waiting for orders. Sang Woo took a slow breath and calculated. They could fight. Kill maybe 5 or 6 men before being overwhelmed. Or, what do you want? Sang Woo called through the door. Isaiah laughed on the other side. Open the door. We'll talk, so you can kill us. If I wanted you dead, I'd just wait. Isaiah replied calmly. You're out of ammo eventually. Out of water. Out of time. He was right. But I'm feeling generous, Isaiah added. So here's the deal. You come out. Alone. Hands up. And your men walk. And just so. She stays. Silence settled heavily in the room. Sang Woo looked at his men. Loyal. Brave. Ready to die for him. He couldn't let that happen. How do I know you'll keep your word? Sang Woo asked. You don't. Isaiah said. But what choice do you have? Sang-woo closed his eyes. He thought of Joanna, of that night in the elevator, of stolen moments, of something real in a world built on lies. He would probably never see her again. When he opened his eyes, his decision was made. Give me 1 minute. Clock's ticking. Sang-woo turned to Min-jae and spoke quietly. When I go out, you wait 5 minutes. Then you breach through the back wall. There's an old service tunnel 2 floors down. Use it. Sir, that's an order. We're not leaving you. Yes, you are, Sang-woo said, his voice hard as steel. You get out. You regroup. And you tell Joanna. He stopped. What could he tell her? That he was sorry? That she had been right? That he should have walked away when he still had the chance? Tell her I understood, he said finally. At the end, Min-jae's jaw tightened, but he nodded. Sang-woo turned to Jisoo. I'm going to get you out of this. She grabbed his hand. Please don't. I have to. Sang-woo. He pulled free, walked to the door, unlocked it, took a breath, and stepped out into the light. Sang-woo stepped into the corridor. His hands were raised. His gun lay on the floor behind him. 20 weapons immediately trained on his chest. Isaiah stood at the center of it all, smiling. Smart choice. His men moved fast, grabbing Sang-woo, slamming him against the wall. Zip ties cinched tight around his wrists, cutting into skin, killing circulation. Isaiah approached slowly, studying him. The Great Park Sang-woo, he said lightly. Seoul's untouchable king. He gestured around the warehouse. Doesn't look so untouchable now. Sang-woo said nothing. He just stared. Isaiah laughed. Silent treatment. That's fine. We got time. He nodded to his men. Bring him. They dragged Sang-woo down the corridor, back toward the room where Jisoo had been found. But when the door opened, it wasn't the same space. This room was larger. Bright lights, mounted cameras, chairs arranged deliberately like a stage. A performance. Sang-woo's stomach dropped. This had never been a rescue. It was a show. They threw him into a chair and secured him tightly. He couldn't move. Isaiah pulled up another chair and sat across from him, relaxed, almost bored. You know what your problem is? Isaiah asked. Sang-woo didn't respond. You think loyalty matters. Honor. All that old world bullshit. Isaiah leaned forward. But in the real world, the only thing that matters is leverage. He smiled. And guess what? I had all of it. The door opened behind Sang-woo. Footsteps followed. More than one set. Isaiah's smile widened. Let me show you something. Jisoo walked into view. But she wasn't shaking. She wasn't crying. She was calm. And she looked directly at Sang-woo. Her expression was cold. Hello, Sang-woo. His blood turned to ice. Jisoo. She stepped closer, stopping beside Isaiah. Surprised. Sang-woo's mind raced. This wasn't possible. She had been. She had. The bruises were makeup, she said calmly. The tears were acting. And you. She smiled faintly. You were exactly as predictable as we thought you'd be. The world seemed to tilt beneath him. You planned this. We planned everything. Isaiah rose from his chair, slipped an arm around Jisoo's waist, and kissed her. Long. Possessive. She kissed him back without hesitation. When they pulled apart, her gaze returned to Sang-woo. Did you really think I didn't know about her? Sang-woo's throat tightened. Every late-night meeting. Every excuse. Every lie. Her voice was measured. Clinical. I knew about Joanna the second week you met her. Then why? Why did I stay? She laughed softly. Because guilt makes men careless. And I needed you careless. She circled him slowly. You stopped watching your empire. Stopped checking your accounts. Stopped paying attention. All because you were too busy fucking someone else's girlfriend. The words struck like gunshots. Jisoo. Don't. Her voice sharpened. You don't get to say my name like it meant something. Like I ever meant something. She stopped in front of him. I stayed sweet because it kept you off balance. I played the worried girlfriend because it made you feel guilty. And guilt. She leaned closer. Guilt is the best distraction there is. Sang-woo stared at her. This woman, the one who had made him soup, who had worried about his health, who had told him she loved him. Every moment. A lie. How long? He asked quietly. She smiled. How long what? How long Isaiah and I have been together? She glanced at Isaiah. He grinned. 6 months. Before Seoul. Before Joanna. Before everything. Jisoo continued speaking, her voice steady, almost amused. How long have we been planning this? 3 months. She tilted her head slightly. I was the one who told him to relocate here. Her gaze locked onto Sang-woo. And how long have I been using you? Her smile turned cruel. From the very beginning, Sang-woo's mind reeled. Everything he thought he knew gone. You used me for access, he said slowly, voice tight. To my network. My routes. Among other things. Isaiah confirmed. He pulled out a tablet and swiped it towards Sang-woo. The screen glowed with financial records, shipping manifests, political contacts. You were very helpful, Isaiah said, especially when you thought you were being careful. Sang-woo's jaw clenched. Jisoo had access to your penthouse. Isaiah continued. Your computers. Your files. She copied everything. He flicked through images, documents, passwords, bank accounts. And you never suspected. Because she was just your sweet girlfriend. Jisoo laughed, crouching in front of him. You want to know the funny part? Sang-woo said nothing, staring. I actually felt bad. For about a week. Then I remembered. You're a criminal. A killer. You've ruined lives. Destroyed families. Her eyes went cold. So I stopped feeling bad. She stood and smirked. Besides, Isaiah pays better. Sang-woo looked at Isaiah. This was about money. It's always about money. Isaiah replied. Money and power. And you had both. Jisoo emphasized. Past tense. Isaiah moved to a corner of the room and pulled back a tarp. Underneath, bodies. 3 of Sang-woo's captains. Throats slit. Dead for hours. Sang-woo's stomach lurched. We've been eliminating your leadership all night. Isaiah said casually. While you were busy playing hero. Your organization? Leaderless. Your shipments? Seized. Your accounts? He smiled. Frozen. Pending investigation for money laundering. Funny how anonymous tips work. Sang-woo's breathing quickened. His entire empire. Decades of work. Gone. And Joanna, he asked quietly. Isaiah's smile faltered. Just slightly. What about her? Where is she? Probably crying in the penthouse. Or packing. Women like her run when things get complicated. But there was a hesitation in his voice. Jisoo noticed it too. You haven't checked on her? I've been busy. Isaiah. She's not a threat, he snapped. She's a spoiled rich girl who thought she could play dangerous. She'll go home to daddy and forget all of this. But Sang-woo saw it. The crack in Isaiah's confidence. He didn't know where Joanna was. And that worried him. Good. Sang-woo smiled. Slow. Genuine. You made a mistake. Isaiah's face hardened. Enlighten me. You assumed she needed me. That she was weak. She is. No, Sang-woo's smile widened. She was learning. And you just gave her every reason to destroy you. Isaiah's jaw twitched. She doesn't have the resources. She has money. Connections. And something you don't. What's that? Nothing left to lose. Silence. Then Isaiah laughed. Forced. Uncomfortable. You're desperate. Trying to get in my head. Am I? Isaiah turned to one of his men. Call the penthouse. Check on Joanna. The man pulled out a phone and dialed. It rang. And rang. And rang. Voicemail. Try again. Same result. Isaiah's face paled slightly. Send someone. Sir, we have everyone here. Send someone. 2 men left, running. Isaiah turned back to Sang-woo, trying to look confident. Failing. It doesn't matter. Even if she runs, she can't touch me. I'm protected. By who? Your men. Sang-woo gestured to the warehouse. The ones who are about to realize their payday isn't coming. I'll pay them. With what? My money. Sang-woo laughed. The sound sharp even with his wrists bound. You froze my accounts. But did you move the money first? Isaiah's silence was answer enough. You didn't, Sang-woo continued, leaning forward as much as his restraints allowed. Because you can't. Those accounts require biometric verification. Mine. So right now, you have nothing. And when your men figure that out, they'll turn on you. Jisoo looked at Isaiah. Is that true? It's fine. We'll figure it out. Is it true? Yes. But we have time. Gunfire. Distant. But unmistakable. Everyone froze. What was that? Jisoo whispered. Isaiah snatched his radio. Report. Static. Report. Nothing. Then a voice. Unfamiliar. Male. Professional. This is Webb. Perimeter secured. Moving in. Isaiah's face went white. Who the fuck is Webb? More gunfire. Closer now. Screaming. Isaiah's men rushing. Shouting. Dying. And then, silence. Footsteps. Slow. Measured. Coming closer. The door opened. A man stepped in. 40. Black. Built like a tank. Tactical gear. Weapon raised. Behind him. For more. All armed. All professional. And behind them, Joanna. She walked in, calm, dressed in black, hair tied back, face unreadable. Her eyes swept the room, landed on Isaiah. Her gaze shifted, first to Jisoo, then to Sang-woo, still tied to the chair. And she smiled. Did I miss anything? Isaiah stared. Joanna. She didn't look at him. She walked further into the room. Her men fanned out, covering every angle. Professional. Silent. Webb, the lead operator, moved to Sang-woo. Cut his restraints. You good? Sang-woo rubbed his wrists and nodded. He rose slowly, never taking his eyes off Joanna. She finally turned to Isaiah. Surprised. How did you find you? She interrupted, smiling. I've been tracking your phone. Isaiah's hand moved toward his pocket. Webb's gun snapped up. Don't. Isaiah froze. Joanna walked toward him, slowly. You made a lot of mistakes tonight, Isaiah. Want to know the biggest one? He didn't answer. You assumed I was helpless. That I needed you. That I'd just accept my role. She stopped inches from his face. But here's what you didn't know. I've been planning my exit since the first time you hit me. Isaiah's eyes widened. Every account you thought was yours. I had access. Every contact you made. I documented. Every illegal deal. She pulled a phone from her pocket. Recorded. You're bluffing. She played an audio file. Isaiah's voice, clear as day, talked about drug shipments, money laundering, murder. She stopped it. I have 40 hours of recordings. Bank transfers. Video evidence. Everything the FBI would need to bury you. Isaiah's face twisted in anger. You fucking. He lunged. Webb moved faster, slamming Isaiah against the wall, gun pressed to his head. Easy. Joanna's eyes shifted to Jisoo. The younger woman had backed into a corner, terrified. And you, Joanna said, stepping forward. You thought you were so clever, playing both sides. I didn't. You used Sang-woo, manipulated him, almost got him killed, which I don't like. Jisoo's eyes flicked towards Sang-woo. I'm sorry. No, Joanna's voice was ice. You're not. You're just scared. She stopped in front of Jisoo. But you should be. Jisoo sank to her knees. Please. I'll leave. You'll never see me again. I promise. Your promises mean nothing. Joanna looked back at Sang-woo. He was watching her carefully. She almost took everything from you. Joanna said. Yes, he replied. She deserves to pay. Yes. Joanna drew a gun from Webb's holster, checked the chamber, and turned back to Jisoo. Please. Jisoo sobbed. I was just trying to survive. So am I, Joanna said. Joanna, wait, Sang-woo began. She met his gaze. You want me to stop? She asked, raising an eyebrow. He stared at her, the woman he had fallen for, the woman who had seemed lost, trapped, now standing there, in control, deadly. He saw it then, the truth. She had never been helpless. She had been waiting, for the right moment. No, he said quietly. Joanna turned back to Jisoo. Any last words? Jisoo looked at Isaiah, at Sang-woo, at the door. I loved you, she whispered to Sang-woo. No, he replied. You didn't. Joanna pulled the trigger. The shot echoed. Jisoo's body hit the ground. Still, silent, dead. Isaiah screamed, struggling against Webb. You fucking bitch. Joanna turned to him and walked forward. That's for what you did to Sang-woo, she said, pressing the gun under his chin. This is for what you did to me. Wait. She pulled the trigger. Isaiah's body crumpled to the ground. Joanna stood over them, gun still smoking, her face calm. Then she looked at Sang-woo. Are you okay? He stared at her, at the bodies, at the woman who had just killed 2 people without hesitation. Who are you? He whispered. She smiled, a sad, quiet smile. Someone who got tired of being afraid. The warehouse fell silent. Only the echo of gunshots lingered. Sang-woo stared at the bodies. Isaiah, face up, eyes still open, gone. Jisoo, crumpled, small, still. 2 people who had tried to destroy him. Dead. By Joanna's hand. She lowered the gun and handed it back to Webb without a word. He took it. No questions asked. Her team remained in position. Professional. Waiting for orders, like they had done this before. Sang-woo's mind raced. The woman he had held, the one who had cried over Isaiah, who had seemed so trapped, had just executed 2 people with the precision of a trained killer. Joanna. She turned to him. Her face unreadable. We need to talk, he said quietly. Yes, we do, she replied. She looked at Webb. Secure the perimeter. No one gets in or out. And find Sang-woo's men, the ones still alive. Copy that. Webb signaled to his team. They moved out, efficient, silent, leaving Sang-woo and Joanna alone with two corpses and the smell of blood in the air. Joanna walked to a crate and sat down, calm and composed, like she hadn't just killed two people. Sang-woo approached slowly. "How long have you been planning this?" he asked. "Which part?" she replied. "All of it." She looked at him. 3 weeks. Since the night Isaiah came home at 3 a.m. with lipstick on his collar. That's when you knew. That's when I decided. There was a difference. You knew about the kidnapping. I suspected. The timing was too perfect. And I know how Isaiah thinks. She stood and walked to Isaiah's body, looking down at him. He always underestimated women. Thought we were props. Accessories. She nudged his body with her foot. Fatal mistake. Sang-woo watched her. Cold. Clinical. "You used me," he said, voice low. She turned to face him. "No. I chose you. What's the difference? Using you would mean I didn't care if you lived or died. Choosing you means I needed you to survive." She stepped closer. "Isaiah wanted you dead. Jisoo wanted your empire. I wanted neither. Then what did you want? Balance. Power. And someone who understood what it takes to survive in this world." She stopped in front of him. "You were never a pawn, Sang-woo. You were a partner. Whether you knew it or not." He wanted to believe her, but trust had just been shattered. "You could have warned me. About Jisoo. About the trap. Would you have believed me?" Silence. Because she was right. If she had told him Jisoo was working with Isaiah, he would have thought she was jealous. Paranoid. Lying. "You needed to see it yourself," Joanna continued. "To understand what they were. What they'd done. And if I died," her jaw tightened, "then I would have killed them anyway. And burned everything they built." The certainty in her voice. The steel. This wasn't a woman making empty threats. "Who are you?" he asked again. She smiled, a sad, quiet smile. "I'm Joanna Harris, daughter of Richard Harris, heiress to a fortune built on real estate and questionable investments. I'm also a woman who spent 2 years being controlled, monitored, threatened." Her eyes hardened. "And I'm someone who decided that if I was going to survive, I needed to become something they couldn't predict. So you became this. I became what I needed to be." Footsteps approached. Webb returned. Perimeter secure. "Found 6 of your men alive. Injured but stable." "Min Jae?" Sang-woo asked. "Safe. Asking for you." Relief flooded through him. "And the rest?" Webb's expression said it all. 14 men. Gone. Because Sang-woo had walked into a trap. His chest tightened. "I need to see them." In a moment, Joanna said, "First, we need to finish this conversation." Webb stepped back, out of earshot but still watching. Joanna turned to Sang-woo. "Isaiah threatened my family. My father. My younger brother." Sang-woo's eyes widened. "What?" 3 months ago, Joanna said. "He told me if I ever left him, if I ever told anyone what he really was, he'd make them disappear." Her voice cracked slightly. It was the first real emotion she'd shown since arriving. "My brother is 19. He's in college. He has no idea who Isaiah was, or what I was living with." She swallowed. "And Isaiah had men watching him. Sent me photos. My brother in class. At the gym. Sleeping in his dorm." She wiped her eyes quickly, refusing to let them linger. "So I stayed. I smiled. I played the good girlfriend." She looked up at Sang-woo. "While I planned how to kill him." Understanding settled in Sang-woo's chest. The trap she'd been living in. Different from his. Just as deadly. "Why didn't you tell me?" he asked quietly. "Because you had your own problems. Your own empire. Your own secrets." Her gaze drifted to Jisoo's body. "And I didn't know if I could trust you." "Not completely." "When did you decide you could?" "The bathhouse." Sang-woo remembered it instantly. The steam, the openness, the vulnerability. "You asked me what I did," he said, "and I told you the truth." "Part of it," she replied. "But enough." She stepped closer. "You could have lied. Could have kept pretending to be just a successful businessman. But you didn't. You trusted me with your truth. So I decided to trust you with mine. By not telling me about the trap. By believing you'd survive it." He stared at her. "That's a hell of a gamble. Everything about us has been a gamble." She wasn't wrong. From the first night, the elevator, the choice to follow him, all of it had been risk. "What happens now?" he asked. "Now." She glanced around the warehouse. "We clean this up. We consolidate. And we decide what comes next." "You mean we decide if there's a we?" She met his eyes. "Is there?" Sang-woo considered everything. The betrayal, the violence, the bodies on the floor. But also the way she'd fought, planned, adapted. The way she'd become exactly what she needed to be. Not for him, For herself. Yes, he said at last. There's a we. She exhaled, tension finally leaving her shoulders. Good, she said softly. Because I'm going to need your help. With what? She pulled out her phone and showed him a document. Isaiah's will. He left everything to me. Sang-woo scrolled through it. Properties, accounts, businesses. Millions. This is legal. I had lawyers draft it 3 weeks ago. Isaiah signed it thinking it was a prenup. Sang-woo almost laughed. You had him sign his own death warrant. I had him sign insurance. In case he died unexpectedly. She smiled slightly. Which he did. And just so. She had nothing. Everything was in Isaiah's name. Smart. Brutal. Effective. So now you control Isaiah's empire. And you control yours. What's left of it? That stung, but it was true. He lost men, resources, time. I can help you rebuild, Joanna offered. Isaiah's network. His contacts. His routes. In exchange for what? Partnership. Real partnership. Not the secret affair version. She stepped closer. I'm tired of hiding. Tired of playing weak. I want to build something. Something that's mine. Ours, he corrected. Sang-woo considered her. This woman, who'd killed for him, who'd saved him, who was offering him a lifeline, but also dangerous, unpredictable, capable of anything. One condition, he said. Name it. No more secrets. If we do this, we do it honestly. She nodded. Agreed. And no more using each other. We choose each other. We choose each other. She extended her hand. He took it. They shook. A deal. A partnership. A beginning. The cleanup took 3 hours. Webb's team was thorough. Bodies removed. Blood cleaned. Evidence erased. Like nothing had ever happened. Sang-woo stood outside as dawn broke over Seoul. His men, what was left of them, were being treated. Min-jae approached, arm in a sling, bruised but alive. Sir. Min-jae. How bad? 6 of us made it. 14 didn't. The number hit hard. 14 families. 14 funerals. His responsibility. Their families will be taken care of, Sang-woo said. Full compensation. Education for their children. Whatever they need. Yes, sir. Min-jae hesitated. What happened in there? Sang-woo looked at the warehouse, at the woman inside who had changed everything. A reckoning. And the American? Isaiah. Dead. Along with Jisoo. Min-jae's eyes widened. Jisoo was working with him. The kidnapping was fake. They set us up. But how? She was with him from the beginning. Used me. Used all of us. Min-jae's face hardened. Then she deserved what she got. Sang-woo nodded. What about Ms. Harris? Min-jae asked carefully. She's the one who killed them. Silence. She killed them. Both. Yes. Is she dangerous? Absolutely. But, Sang-woo looked at him. But she's on our side. And right now, we need that. Min-jae processed it. We're partnering with her. Yes. Can we trust her? Good question. Could they? Sang-woo thought about the conversation, the truth she'd shared, the vulnerability beneath the violence. More than we could trust. That was answer enough. Inside the warehouse, Joanna stood with Webb. Status? Joanna asked. All clear. Bodies disposed of. Scene sanitized. Witnesses? None alive. She nodded. And Isaiah's men? Those who survived are running. No loyalty without payment. Good. Let them run. Spread the word about what happens to people who cross us. Webb raised an eyebrow. Us. She glanced at Sang-woo outside. Us. Webb followed her gaze. You sure about him? Are you questioning my judgment? I'm questioning your heart. She turned to him. I don't have the luxury of following my heart. I follow what keeps me alive. And he does that. He did tonight. Webb nodded slowly. What's the play now? We consolidate. I take over Isaiah's operations legally. Sang-woo rebuilds his. We merge where it makes sense. And Seoul becomes ours. Completely. That's ambitious. That's survival. She pulled out an envelope and handed it to Webb. Your payment. Plus a bonus. He looked inside and whistled softly. That's generous. You earned it. And I'll need you again. For what? Guarding what we're building. Webb pocketed the envelope. I'm expensive. I can afford you. He smiled. Then you got a deal. They shook hands. Professional, but with mutual respect. Joanna walked outside and found Sang-woo. He turned as she approached. It's done, she said. I know. They stood in silence, watching the sun rise over Seoul, a city that had almost killed them, that had definitely changed them. 14 men, Sang-woo said quietly. I know. I'm sorry. It's not your fault. isn't it? If I'd told you earlier, I wouldn't have believed you. We already covered this. She nodded, but the guilt lingered. Their families will be taken care of. I promise. She believed him. What do we tell people? She asked. About Isaiah. Jisoo. All of it. The truth. Mostly. Which version? Isaiah and Jisoo were working together. They tried to eliminate me. They failed. And their deaths. Casualties of a war they started. It was clean. Simple. Close enough to the truth. The police, she asked, won't investigate. Not if we handle it right. Meaning we make it clear that anyone who asks too many questions will regret it. Joanna understood. Power. Fear. The currency of their world. When do we start? She asked. Now. He pulled out his phone, made a call, spoke in Korean, quick, authoritative. When he hung up, he looked at her. I've called a meeting. All my remaining captains. Tomorrow night. You're announcing the partnership? I'm announcing a new order. She smiled. I like the sound of that. The penthouse. 2 days after the warehouse. Sang-woo stood at the window, looking out at Seoul. His city. Still his. Barely. Behind him, Joanna moved through the space. Familiar now. She'd moved in. Temporarily, she'd said. Until things stabilized. But they both knew it was more than that. She brought him coffee. Black. No sugar. He took it without looking. Your meeting is in 6 hours, she said. I know. Nervous. Should I be? She sat on the arm of the couch. You're about to tell your organization that you're partnering with an American woman. One who killed your girlfriend. Ex-girlfriend. And she wasn't really my girlfriend. They don't know that. True. To everyone else, Jisoo had been the sweet, supportive partner. Not the traitor. Not the manipulator. They'll understand once I explain. Will they? He turned to face her. You doubt me. I doubt people's ability to accept change. Especially when it threatens their position. She wasn't wrong. His captains were loyal. But loyalty had limits. Some will leave, he admitted. And some will challenge you. Let them. She raised an eyebrow. Confident. Realistic. I've been doing this for 15 years. I know my people. Knowing them and controlling them are different things. He walked to her. Stood close. Is that what this is? Control. Isn't everything. Not us. She looked up at him. No. No. We're partners. Equals. Are we? The question hung between them. Because the truth was complicated. He had the network, the history, the respect. She had the money, the legality, the fresh start. We will be, he said finally. She stood and faced him. Then there's something you need to know. What? She pulled out her phone and showed him a document. A contract. Isaiah's assets officially transferred to me yesterday. $53 million. For properties. And a shipping company. Sang-woo scrolled. Impressive. That's more than he told you he had. He lied. About everything. Including how much he was worth. Where did it all come from? Mostly drug money. Some weapons trafficking. The rest from extortion and gambling. All illegal. All dangerous. And now it's yours. Now it's ours. She took the phone back. I'm putting $30 million into an account. Joint access. For rebuilding your operations. Sang-woo stared. That's an investment. In us. Joanna. I'm not being generous. I'm being strategic. She walked to the window. Your network is damaged, but not destroyed. With capital, you can rebuild. Quickly. And in return, I want a seat at the table. Not as decoration. As an equal voice. He considered. 30 million was significant. More than he could raise quickly. With it, he could restore operations within months instead of years. But, my captains won't accept a woman in leadership. Then change their minds. It's not that simple. Yes, it is. She turned to him. You're Park Sang-woo. You own the city. If you say I'm leadership, then I'm leadership. And if they refuse, then they're not loyal to you. They're loyal to tradition. And tradition is what almost got you killed. Direct. Harsh. True. He walked to her. This will cause problems. Everything worth doing causes problems. Some will leave. Let them. Better to know now than later. And if they come after you. Her smile was cold. I just killed 2 people who tried. I'm not afraid of your captains. He believed her. Okay. You get a seat. Equal voice. But, he stepped closer. You follow protocol. You learn the culture. And you never, ever, undermine me in front of my people. Same goes for you. Agreed. They shook hands. Formal. Professional. Then she pulled him closer and kissed him. Not gentle. Not tentative. With certainty. When they pulled apart, she whispered, "We're going to burn this city down and rebuild it in our image." He smiled. "I'm counting on it." For hours later, Joanna stood in front of the mirror, choosing her outfit carefully. Not too feminine, they'd dismiss her. Not too masculine, they'd mock her. Professional, strong, undeniable. A black suit, tailored and expensive. Hair down but controlled. Minimal jewelry. She looked dangerous. Good. Sang-woo entered and stopped short. "You look powerful." "I was going to say beautiful, but that works too." She turned. "Your captains are going to hate me." "Probably. And they'll test me." "Definitely." "You ready for that?" He walked to her and adjusted her collar slightly. "The question is, are you?" She met his eyes. "I was raised in boardrooms full of men who thought I was there to serve coffee. I learned how to make them respect me. This is different. These men are criminals. Killers. So am I now." He couldn't argue. She'd proven that in the warehouse. "Just remember, violence is the last option, not the first." "I know. Do you?" She pulled away slightly. "You think I'm going to shoot the first person who disrespects me?" "I think you're capable of it." "Capable doesn't mean willing." She grabbed her jacket. "I know how to play the long game, Sang-woo. I've been doing it my entire life. This game is different. Every game is different. The rules change, but the goal stays the same, which is survival, power, control." She headed for the door. "Let's go show them who's in charge." The meeting was held in a private restaurant, closed for the night, reserved exclusively. 10 men sat around a large table. Sang-woo's remaining captains, leaders of different territories, operations, logistics, enforcement, the backbone of his empire. They looked up as Sang-woo entered, stood, respectful. Then they saw Joanna. The respect faltered. Confusion, suspicion. One man, Kim Taeyong, 50, scar across his jaw, spoke. "Who is this?" In Korean. Deliberate exclusion. Joanna understood anyway. She'd been learning. Sang-woo answered in Korean. "This is Joanna Harris. My partner." Silence. "Partner?" another man asked. "In what capacity?" "Business. Strategy. Operations." More silence. Then Kim laughed. "You're joking." "I'm not. You bring an outsider, an American woman, to a leadership meeting?" "I bring my partner." Kim stood. "With respect, this is unacceptable." Others murmured agreement. Sang-woo remained calm. "Sit down, Kim. Not until you explain." I said sit. The command was steel. Kim hesitated, then sat. Slowly, Sang-woo walked to the head of the table. Joanna followed, standing beside him. Not behind, beside him. 2 days ago, I walked into a trap, Sang-woo began. Set by Isaiah Cross and Jisoo Park. Gasps rippled around the table. "Jisoo?" Someone whispered. She was working with Isaiah from the beginning, feeding him information, sabotaging operations, planning my death. That's impossible. It's fact. She admitted it before she died. More murmurs spread through the room. Isaiah wanted my territory. Jisoo wanted my assets. Together, they nearly succeeded. He scanned the faces around the table. They killed 14 of her brothers. Good men, loyal men, heads bowed, and they would have killed me, if not for her. He gestured to Joanna. Ms. Harris tracked Isaiah, assembled a team, and eliminated both threats. Kim scoffed. "You expect us to believe this woman?" "Killed them both," Sang-woo finished. "Yes." Silence fell. "She saved my life, saved this organization, and she's bringing resources we need to rebuild." He placed a folder on the table. $30 million. Access to shipping routes, legal fronts, and American connections. He let that sink in. In exchange, she becomes a full partner. Equal voice in decisions. Equal share of profits. This is insane. Kim shouted. Others joined, voices rising in protest and argument. Sang-woo let them speak for 30 seconds. Then, enough. His voice cut through the room. Everyone froze. "I understand your concerns, but this is not a debate." He leaned forward. "This organization nearly died because of internal betrayal, because we were complacent, predictable. Ms. Harris represents change, evolution, adaptation, and if you can't accept that," he straightened, "then you're free to leave." Now, the challenge hung in the air. No one moved, except Kim. "I won't serve under a woman." "Then you won't serve at all." Kim's face reddened. "You're making a mistake. That's my choice to make." Kim looked around the table, searching for support. No one spoke. He grabbed his jacket. "You'll regret this." "Maybe." but you'll regret leaving more. Kim walked out. The door slammed behind him. Sang-woo turned to the remaining captains. Anyone else? Silence filled the room. Then one man stood. Lee Tae-ho, 40, operations specialist. I have a question, he said. Ask. He looked at Joanna. Can you speak Korean? She met his eyes and responded in accented but clear Korean. I'm learning, but I understand more than I speak. Surprise rippled through the room. And do you understand our business? Lee continued. The risks, the violence. Yes, she said. Have you killed before? Yes. How many? 2. Isaiah Cross and Jisoo Park. Lee studied her carefully. Why? Because they threatened something I was building, and because they underestimated me. He nodded slowly. And what are you building now? A partnership, an empire, something that lasts. Lee looked at Sang-woo, then back at Joanna. I can work with that. He sat. Others relaxed slightly. Tentative acceptance, but real. Sang-woo exhaled. Good. Then let's discuss rebuilding. He opened the folder, revealing detailed plans, territory division, resource allocation, timelines. They talked for 3 hours. Joanna contributed, asking questions, making suggestions. Some were ignored, some implemented. By the end, she had earned a measure of respect. Not total, but enough. When the meeting ended, Lee approached her. You speak Korean better than you pretended. She smiled slightly. I learned that hiding competence keeps people underestimating you. Smart. Necessary. He extended his hand. Welcome to the organization. She shook it. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. The real test comes when things go wrong. I'll be ready. I hope so. He walked away. Sang-woo came to her side. That went better than expected. Kim will be a problem. Kim is always a problem. He'll come after me. Let him try. She looked at him. You protect me? I'd help you protect yourself. There's a difference. She smiled. Good answer. They left together, back to the penthouse, back to planning, back to building something dangerous and unstoppable. 1 week later, the news broke quietly, then loudly. American businessman found dead in Seoul. Korean woman killed in apparent gang violence. Authorities investigating double homicide. But the investigations went nowhere. No witnesses. No evidence. No leads. Within 2 weeks, the story faded. Isaiah Cross became a footnote. Jisoo Park became a tragedy. Life moved on. Joanna stood in Sang-woo's penthouse. Their penthouse now. She had officially moved in. Furniture changed. Decorations added. A blend of both their tastes. Sang-woo entered, carrying 2 glasses of wine, and handed her one. To survival, he said. To power, she countered. They clinked glasses and drank. He walked to the window.